more events like that focuses in the industry.
Now, the International Fund for Agriculture Development, IFAD, in collaboration with the National Treasury and other private sector players, have today unveiled the 19 billion shilling sixth facility dubbed the Rural Kenya Financial Inclusion Facility that aims to facilitate farmers in rural Kenya to access credit from financial institutions. IFAD, on its part, has committed over 3 billion in support of the facility, which is expected to be rolled out in 14 pilot counties before being rolled out across the country. Jimmy Mbogo has more.
Thank you very much, Nyakundi, and a very good afternoon to you. As you rightly said, today the conversation that we are currently having at the KICC is a conversation around rural Kenya, financing rural and just trying to push financial inclusion to rural Kenya. And now one of the things that has come out here is the fact that there is a financial project that has been launched by AIR, that is IFAD, together in partnership with the National Treasury, and just looking at ways of improving the livelihoods of Kenyans, and particularly those farmers in the rural setup within Kenya. Now, just to take you through some of the numbers that have come out, is the fact that IFAD will be contributing about $22 million towards this project. At the same time, the National Treasury is going to contribute around 24 million that is going to go towards this project. For over the next 6 years, the project is expected to, the total investment rather, is going to be about $134.05 million US dollars that is just going towards financing farmers, and particularly those in the rural Kenya. Now, I'm joined this afternoon by Marietta, that is Director Mariatu Kamara, who is the director of IFAD. We just want to understand how soon is this project going to kick off, and when should farmers expect these finances? Madam Marietta, thanks so much for making time to speak to KTN.
Actually, this farmers should have been receiving this support yesterday. I say yesterday because, yes, we are launching today, but the work started about a year ago. So we've been working with partners, we've been working with the government, establishing the team and all that to ensure that the finances reach the farmers. So after the launch today, it is my hope and belief that we will now go to the community, start sensitizing them, train the required partners to enable to have access to these loans and finances from the farmers. We'll also work with the financial institutions, with the banks, ensuring that we provide the de-risking facility to enable farmers to access to finance. So if you ask me how soon, in my views, it should actually have been yesterday. But looking at how things have been, maybe I will say in the next couple of months, the farmers should be able to have access to finances. How
many farmers are going to be targeted during these 6 years?
109,000 direct beneficiaries. But then we're talking about a multiplier effect. So this program is going to be implemented throughout the country, in all the 47 counties in Kenya. But of course, we'll be doing it incrementally. So we'll start first with 14 counties and then expand to other counties. But the whole idea is really to ensure that farmers have access to finance, work with financial institutions. So if you see, IFAD is bringing in 22 million, but we are expecting to bring in about 85 million from the private sector. So we'll be working with banks, SACCOs, and cooperatives and all that to ensure farmers have access to finance.
And you know, with most of these facilities, the other thing that I'm sure a lot of our viewers would want to know is this a grant? Is it a credit? If it's a credit, how much am I going to repay it, and over what period?
So it's a loan to the Kenyan government, but it's a highly concessional loan, and it will be paid over a period of over 20 years with minimum interest rate. So really, it's not the farmers that are going to pay back to IFAD. The farmers will pay back the loan that the community banks or the financial institution will provide to them. So what we are doing is really providing access, providing trainings, and de-risking the credit facility so farmers can have access to it. So Kenyan government will pay back, but it's a highly concessional loan.
And you've talked about the issue of de-risking. What more needs to happen from where you sit, just to make sure that they have access to they're financially included and they have access to credit? Because as you rightfully said during your speech, one of the things is that they have irregular income.
Exactly. You see, providing support to farmers it's not a one-way street. You provide access to finance, but you also ensure that you provide them access with good seeds, good extension services, good access to water so that they can increase on their productivity. So that's why in IFAD, the RKFINFA is just one of our programs. We have 3 other projects in Kenya. We have a project dealing in the fishery sector, we have a project dealing with in the crop sector, and we also have a project dealing with livestock sector. So in as much as you're providing the access to finance and all that, you also have to provide them with the required support, access to good seeds, access to fertilizer, which is what the government of Kenya is doing. As we speak, there is a fertilizer subsidy program ongoing, and that is helping farmers to increase on their productivity. So the access to finance, access to loans is just one aspect of it. There are other activities along the line that are providing the required support.
All right, so lastly, again, we talk about financing agriculture. There is a lot of variables, one of them being the issue of weather that farmers do not have control over. And of course, even as you finance this sector, there's still the aspect that we need to look at in terms of that risk. How then do you mitigate against such risks?
You see, most countries in the world are providing insurance services to the farmers, and that's where the insurance aspect of agriculture comes in. In as much as farmers do not have control over weather conditions, they don't have control over droughts, they don't have control over floods and all that, we are now encouraging farmers to also be involved in insurance services. So they provide insurance service, they pay their insurance fees, and then when such uncertainties occur, the farmers will have access to funds, they will claim money from the insurance companies. So I think, in my view, in as much as we are doing all of this, we also really need to strengthen the insurance services for farmers.
How much will farmers be eligible to, just before we wrap up the conversation?
Like I said, farmers will be eligible to what they demand. This is a demand-driven program. So IFAD, as an institution, we are providing the required support. But then, as I said, the private sector will also come in to now provide the funds. So it's a demand-driven program. It depends on what the farmer wants. If the farmer wants to want access to support 1 hectare of land, they will have it. So it's kind of difficult to say they'll be eligible to X amount. It's a demand-driven program. But like I said, at the end of the day, we are hoping that we will spend close to $143 million, 85 million of that coming from the private sector.
All right, thank you so much again for making time to speak to us. Really appreciate it. So Nyakundi, there you have it. And of course, we'll be giving you more details, particularly just to help you and to help our viewers make sense of some of these numbers. But for now, back to you.
Right now we move